A rainforest is a wild place of wonder and mystique. Every year, new species of flora and fauna are recorded by intrepid biologists who trek into the bush. Anthropologists spend their lives learning more about the reclusive people in its deepest depths. As time goes on, scientists slowly map out the mysteries of the jungle. It takes hard work, but researchers continue to develop better methods of observation. In turn, they solve muddled mysteries about the wet world under the canopy. But even with all we know today about rainforest ecosystems, there are still so many more unknowns. In these 10 instances, scientists have spent countless hours trying to answer some of the rainforest's biggest and most confusing questions. In some cases, a breakthrough could be just around the corner. In others, we may never know the truth. But in all, we can be sure the mystery itself is both fascinating and maddening. Deep in the Amazon rainforest, there are tribes that have little to no contact with the outside world. Most are aware of modern life to some degree. Unfortunately, many are negatively impacted by illegal logging and mining practices. But anthropologists still don't know much about the way they live. The nearby Gavayo tribe knows them as the butterfly people due to their nomadic lifestyle. It was only in 1998 that Brazilian officials first learned of their hardships. That year, 2 Piripkura men left the forest to be hospitalized for an illness. During the stay, they told doctors how a hostile band of invaders had massacred most of their comrades. Concerns abound, though illegal logging continues to push closer to the people. Deforestation has brought violence, sickness, and death to the tribe's members. Every year, their way of life becomes more threatened. Their isolation is under threat from illegal industry encroachment. It's not every day that researchers find a new part of the Earth. In fact, that hardly ever happens. Google Earth has mapped out pretty much the entire globe. Its images are accessible to us all through a few clicks of a mouse. As far as unexplored territories, there just isn't much left. Julian Bayliss is a butterfly expert who has spent years using Google Earth to examine rainforests in Africa. In 2012, he made out an image of a crater on top of a mountain in the African nation. Within that crater, there seemed to be a pristine rainforest high up in the sky. Scientists were shocked at the discovery but also somewhat skeptical. 5 years later, Bayliss took a team of 28 researchers to Mozambique to find out what was in that untouched forest. But after making it to the top, Bayliss's team found some surprising things. Among them were several completely new species, including a type of butterfly that Bayliss later named after the mountain. Even more surprisingly, they found evidence of human settlement in the sky-high jungle. Old clay pots were discovered strewn about in the dense, remote forest. South America was the last continent colonized by humans. Migration patterns suggest early man moved into the area at the very end of the last ice age, roughly 12,000 years ago. For decades, researchers have been trying to piece together knowledge about those early communities. The incredible biodiversity of the Amazon and its rain-drenched ecosystem has made the puzzle more difficult. Today, scientists still don't know much about what early civilization was like deep in the jungles. That began to change in 2017. That year, archaeologists excavated an 8-mile-long, 12.9-kilometer stretch of cave drawings deep in the Colombian jungle. The hand-scrawled images are thought to date back to the earliest known times of man in the rainforest. The drawings depict animals like mastodons and giant sloths. They also show images of how early man lived in the area. Biologists are especially interested in the portrayal of now-extinct species. As they painstakingly analyze each cave painting, they hope to learn more about early biodiversity in the rainforest. The paintings give a vivid and exciting glimpse into the lives of these communities, archaeologist Mark Robinson told Live Science. It is unbelievable to us today to think they lived among, and hunted, giant herbivores, some of which were the size of a small car. Some Amazon tribes swear about the existence of the Mapinguari. While wildlife biologists are skeptical, this giant sloth supposedly lives deep in the jungle. For centuries, the Mapinguari has been a key part of old stories passed down among tribes. Folklore in those communities claims the beast stands more than 7 feet tall with matted hair and an awful smell. Over the years, people deep in the Amazon claim to have seen it in person. Local myths hold that the Mapinguari is most aggressive toward people who mistreat the environment within the dense, lush jungles. Unfortunately, scientists haven't been able to find evidence that the giant sloth-like creature really exists. And it's not for lack of trying. Biologists have spent considerable time searching for bones and droppings throughout remote areas of the rainforest. With no hard evidence on hand, they think something else may be going on. One ornithologist thinks the mythical Mapinguari is the product of long-standing local legends. We know that extinct species can survive as legends for hundreds of years. Ancient evidence may back him up. Archaeologists have found fossils of a giant sloth known as the megatherium in the Amazon. That animal has been extinct since the end of the last ice age. But it's possible stories of the beast's existence have been handed down over thousands of years. Humpback whales migrate thousands of miles during their lives. One of their biggest trips comes in the summer when they swim south to Antarctica's oceans from the northern hemisphere. So scientists were shocked in February 2019 when a year-old humpback whale was found dead on the shores of an island in the Amazon River. Locals found the whale calf on the banks of Marajo Island. Humpback whales often enjoy the warm waters of the Amazon basin early in the winter. By February, they are long gone from the area. Plus, the whale being found further upstream in fresh water confused biologists. The animal had no visible wounds, either. So poaching and whaling were ruled out. Eventually, scientists came to believe the whale calf was lost in a sad mix-up. One theory holds that the mammal was separated from its mother during an earlier migration. Small, weak, and on its own, strong off-season currents pushed it into the estuary. Once there, biologists believe it became entangled in a mangrove swamp. It was too weak to free itself and eventually perished in the freshwater environment. Scientists also wonder whether it could have ingested plastic waste near the shore, hastening its death. Whatever the case, it was unheard of for locals to see a whale so far up the river.